But you got to choose to do and to obey to be set free. That's kingdom perspective. Look at what this says. He says he came to be the atonement for our sin. You ought to write this down. Anybody ever asks you what atonement means? It means at-one-ment. To be at one with God. The atonement means he paid the price for me so I could be friends with Jesus, so I could be friends with God. At-one-ment. So we can be together again. That was why Jesus died. For us to build back that bridge. And so from a kingdom thought, look at this. Since we have a great high priest, okay, this is from Hebrews chapter, somebody help me. Verse 14. Which chapter? 4:14. Sorry. Since we have a great high priest who's gone through the heavens, that would be Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firmly to the faith that we profess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who's been tempted or tested in every way just like we are, yet was without sin. So let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence, so that we can receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. How many of you parents, raise your hand? Raise your hand. Do your children ever walk up to you and say, Dad, I was thinking, if it'd be all right, I was just wondering if I could have $10 so that maybe, possibly, if it's okay, that maybe I could hang out with my friends down at the mall, and if it's okay, I'll take my cell phone with me and I'll be home at 9 o'clock if that's all right. If 10's cool, but 9's fine. And Dad, I just want to, and when I come home, I'm going to do all my chores, I'm going to do the garbage, and I'm going to clean my room, and I'll take the dog out for a walk, and if that's all okay. Does that ever happen to you? No? Okay. Why? Your kids walk in and go, Dad, I need $20, I'm going down to the mall. They come in with confidence. Why? Because you're their dad. They don't walk in afraid of you, like, Dad, I was just wondering if it's okay. Would it be alright, Dad, if I breathe today? Would it be alright if I help myself to some water? They don't do that. They don't do that. Why? Because you're their dad, and they know you love them. And they know the answer's going to be, yeah, right? Because they come in with confidence. Me and my dad are tight. We're close. He loves me. I can have anything I want. That's the confidence that we can approach God with. God, listen, this is what I need. I trust you. That if you don't give me what I think I need, I trust what you know I need is better than mine. But sometimes we come to God with our concerns and we come like we're crawling and begging and pleading. And God's up there going, dude, what are you doing? I'm your dad. Talk to me like your dad. I don't do that to my parents. If I did, they wouldn't know how to respond. Kids are demanding. They demand our attention. They demand our affection. They demand us to do what we can to help them. They demand our assistance. And they walk in with confidence knowing, my life's on fire, Mom and Dad can help put it out. And when we go to God, it's the same thing. He's familiar with our circumstance. This text says that there's nothing that you've gone through Jesus didn't also go through. And someone will say, oh yeah, well he didn't have the internet. Okay. That's not what it means. But Jesus knows what it is to be ignored. He knows what it is to be made fun of. He knows what it is to be beaten. He knows what it is to die. He knows what it is to be sick. And I don't know how to tell you this, but Jesus was human. It's not like he never had a cold. When was the last time you saw a picture of Jesus sneezing? Never. But he had colds. When was the last time you saw a picture of Jesus walking through the snow? He lived through the winter. It had no snow. It was like, oh no, Jesus always suntanned sitting out by the Sea of Galilee. No! Come on! The dude had to wander around and figure out where he had to go. He was human. He went through the same things that you go through. And you know it. But it says that he went through them without sinning. And that's the difference. But he's familiar when you go to God and say, God, you just don't know what it's like. I mean, people at work are making fun of me. People at school are making fun of me. And Jesus up there going, I know. Yeah, I've been there, done that. Okay? It's familiar with where we live.
how we live. But we can go to him with confidence. God, this is where I'm at. Straight up. I got to have your help. And what Shannon said earlier is so true. We go to God with one thing in mind, and God's got another plan. God's got a completely different plan. Dear God, please change my circumstance. And his answer is, I'd rather change you. And that's the hard part. It'd be easier if we could get rid of people we work with, or people we live next to, or we go to class with. That'd be easy if God could just like zap people. You know, like if we had like a Nintendo game and just blow them out of the water. But God doesn't work like that. A lot of times what he doesn't do is change our circumstance because he's working on us. And this process of getting to be like God and to become a kingdom thinker is this carving away, this whittling away of our sinfulness so that we can become like Jesus. But it's painful, and it hurts, and it takes a long time. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and go, oh, I guess I got it. It just doesn't work like that. But you can go to your dad with confidence. Hebrews 5 says this. It says, every high priest is selected from among men and is appointed to represent them in matters related to God. Okay, now this is him basically connecting the idea of the high priest in the Hebrew culture to Jesus. And what he's saying is, hey, look, we've all picked these guys to be the high priest, but they become appointed. And then it says, but the priest, he is able to deal gently with those who are ignorant and who are going astray. Okay, now, that's America. That's our culture right there. But we're just ignorant sometimes to the things that are right. And God has placed priests, you and me, in our culture to make a difference. This is why the priest has to offer sacrifices for his own people and for his own sins as well as for the sins of others. That's what the priest would do. The priest would go into the Holy of Holies of the temple and he would present a sacrifice that was to cover the sins of the people and his own. Okay? He was their delegation to go to God. And then it says, no one takes this honor upon himself. He must be called by God just like Aaron was. Aaron was considered one of the priests of all priests. Okay? So, Christ also did take upon himself, being the high priest, the glory of becoming the high priest. But God said to him, you're my son, and I have become your father. And he says in another place, you are a priest forever, is what the Bible says, God's conversation with Jesus. This is, again, thinking like God. So during the days of Jesus' life on earth, here you go, he offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries and tears to the one who could save him from death. And yet he has heard, I can't see it. And he was heard because of his reverent submission. Although he was a son, he learned obedience from what he suffered. And once he was made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation for all who do what? Who do what? Obey him. And Pastor Tom's job is to teach you to obey all things he has commanded us. Okay? So, connect the dots here. Would you agree that Christ is gentle? Okay? We have this idea in America that Jesus was a wimp. But he wasn't a wimp. He was meek. Meek is angry at the right time with the right amount and not angry at the wrong time with the wrong amount. Jesus was meek. He was gentle. He cared about people. But he's been appointed as the high priest. And it says, in reverent submission to God. Remember the story where Jesus is in the garden and he's praying, dear God, if there's any other way I can make this happen, that'd be really cool. If you could take this cup from me, I'd be happy to pass. And I honestly believe that at that moment, Jesus, half human, half God, completely human, completely God, could have said, I'm out. I need another plan. But he submitted to the plan even to his death. And it says that while he suffered, that's how he learned obedience. Our children often, they're flying along in life and all of a sudden they're about ready to learn a lesson and all the helicopter parents fly in and save them and they never learn a lesson because they never suffer. And so they keep making the same mistake over and over and over and over again because they've never suffered, because whether you like it or not, pain teaches people obedience. Not physical pain I'm talking about social, legal, whatever. Pain will get your attention. Would you agree? And Jesus learned obedience, even through his suffering. But it says that he wants to bless the people who obey him. Who obey